It's time, it's hater time. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends of the podcast, welcome once again to the mighty Hate Bit Podcast. I am the intrepid Yell Chaos. Joining me all the way from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the bumper car thief himself, Alpha Omega Sin.
Play the new Berserk game. It's really good. That's all. It's so violent and it's so great. They don't hold back. It's fucking fantastic. That's all.
Absolutely, and hanging out in the state where they don't give a good goddamn about daylight savings, the world's most dangerous spokesmodel, Razor Fist.
The only three fucks in the business who haven't rammed Paige in the last 45 minutes on camera. Strap the fuck in and enjoy the ride, folks. Like Xavier Woods. The ride to the unemployment line.
All right, God fucking speed.
I do want to chime in that you do not see anything below the waistline, so technically what he said is up for debate with Paige, so you never know. You'll have to find out at the end of the show if her head pops up.
Oh, see, we're getting to be a classier program all the time. I also want to remind you to check us out right here on YouTube, and don't forget to find us on the social media, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, all that other things where you can see pictures of our dick and things like that. It's, like I said, real classy program. So make sure you do that. Also, if you have questions, comments, concerns, correspondence of any kind, please drop us a line at hatebitpodcast@gmail.com. Now, before any more people go and join some terrorist organization because we're just not, fulfilling our duties, we're going to jump right into the program. And I want to start off this show with saying happy birthday to Reggie Fils-Aimé, president of Nintendo of America. Reggie, I hope you had a happy one. You look like a cigar and you smell one like one too. And I really hope that now that you've had your cake and your party, you can get off your ass and get me an NES Mini. God damn it. Christmas was 4 fucking months ago. Anyway, with that having been said, happy birthday, Reggie.
He probably, he's Haitian, so he probably rolled them for a living, too.
Well, that depends on your definition of a living. And it's also clear that Reggie loves birthday cake, so make sure to check that out.
I think he's been paid. I think he's taken out his executive bonus in dough for the last 5.
I wanna. You figure he's got to do something with all those Wii Fit boards, so he's probably using them as serving trays at his house.
No, he usually uses the top of his skull for that, I believe.
Actually, I heard he sent them back to Haiti so they could be used for foundations for buildings, and.
Motherfucker is a Daredevil villain. Like, what the shit?
Yeah.
Got Hammerhead running Nintendo.
I think that's kind of... Well, okay, you see their new president. We have a real life fucking, we have a character from the Yakuza universe suddenly who's like, I'm gonna fucking run Nintendo. Anybody who says something bad about it, suddenly they went missing. We don't know. We don't know. We found them in Ziploc bags strewn all along the shoreline. It's a sign.
Yeah, so if you keep complaining about the Nintendo Switch shortage, you might not do so well.
Yeah.
3 weeks in, and we can't get a Nintendo Switch because
you just got them talking about we can't get NES Minis. Why?
Right.
Just, I want to know what the fuck they're doing at the manufacturing plant when it comes to making those things, because, well, the nice thing is I've noticed that they've been getting flipped for less and less and less and less. It's to the point now that resellers are having their own clearance sales because they can't get what the fuck they want out of them. The bitches are going for like under $100 now. Before they were like $250, $300-ish. People were getting for them. Not now.
Yeah, well, just about the only thing Nintendo's been manufacturing over the last several years is scarcity. So it makes sense. That's pretty much what they're doing. It's artificially manufactured scarcity, which is
working,
I think that was their game plan going in. I kind of said that at the very beginning. They're gonna try and make it seem like it's harder to get these things because they're just not gonna make them.
Dude, I still think to the whole the great amiibo shortage just a few years ago. When those bitches came out, not a single motherfucker had them. And it was funny because everybody had said, I don't want those stupid fucking toys. They can go and suck a dick. Meanwhile, everybody went and bought them. And then everybody was trying to buy them off all the motherfuckers who were going into stores and buying them. And then eventually you were seeing outside of stores little handmade paper signs of only one amiibo per customer. And the amiibo line starts here on this date. Shit was real. Nowadays, nah, not so much. Not so much.
What are you gonna do? I say we melt them fucking things down, all those fucking shitty ones of goddamn Tom Nook. Fuck that guy, by the way.
Well,
Melt those motherfuckers down and get me my goddamn system, son of a bitch.
If we need to melt down any little toys, we can just use those Disney Infinity fucking figurines. We can
Oh,
always
there'll be
do
lots of those. Lots of those.
Well,
oh my
you know
gosh. Do you realize we could take those, melt them down? We could make Alpha Omega Sin his very own plastic playland, just with the plastic and
I'm all for that because I got enough bullshit fucking figures behind me. But I was thinking about it. If you go out to a GameStop, assuming that it's still open, we'll get to that shortly. But if you go out to a GameStop, it's like buy one get 3 free on Skylanders and Disney Infinity. I'm like, dude, they should just put a sign that says, "For the love of God, take these." They knew that they should have done it whenever Rock Band and the Guitar Hero epidemic swept all the stores, and they're like, "We need a separate store to house all of our Fisher Price instruments and shit." And now this, so. They'll be gone soon. I mean,
well,
Disney
it's absolutely insane the way Disney just jumped on that. They had the Disney Infinity seemed to come right after the introduction of the Amiibo, and they had to be on that and made stock fairly quickly. So they're clearly not, they're not working with any Nintendo suppliers because they had shit on shelves, right? But every store you went into, there was so much Disney Infinity that particular section had its own gravitational pull. There was so much plastic that it was pulling down the floor.
And the sad part about it is it had so much gravitational pull, but for whatever reason, wallets were exempt from that.
Yeah.
So that was quite unfortunate for the Disney Infinity thing. And, you know what? I'll give them credit, though. The figures, like, they actually were painted and modeled nicely. That was about it. So aesthetically, they look nice. But the game itself, it was shit. I couldn't get any of my nephews, my son. Nobody gave a fuck about it. And we tried. We were like, oh, hey, Star Wars, that's cool. You want to try? And they're just like, nah. No, not really. This shit's boring. It was like,
would you like to give a fuck? Would you like to lend a fuck?
If you want to, I mean, I'm sure that they have like a certain stage to give a fuck, and they're like, no.
I think I'll just put my fucking way away.
Oh man, it's so bad, so bad. Oh well.
But we don't have to deal with
the funniest part about Disney Infinity was the fucking thing had been canceled for how goddamn long. I mean, it had been months. And I walk into Target, and there's an entire the saddest Disney Infinity collection ever. It's like 90 billion% off. We will pay you to take these toys. We will follow you out the door with armloads. Just take these fucking things. And it's packed to the gills. I took a picture too. So sad.
The CEO was like, "I will give you my annual bonus if you just take these and get them the fuck away from me, because nobody will come and take them at all." We can't even.
No, and it made it all the sadder because they still had the little video kiosk set up. So it was like they were really trying to sell this shit. They were wasting electricity to get rid of these fucking toys.
They set the kiosk outside with a sign, like in the middle of the parking lot. "It'd be a shame if someone stole these." And then at the end of it, they're like, "Not a single one of those fucking things moved. There's a fucking bird nest on it now. Fuck them."
There's got to be somebody out there, though, that says, "Ooh, I'm going to take these and put them in my house next to all these Microsoft Zunes I found."
You got the poor kid who has to go and get the carts, and he's fucking mumbling death under his breath because he has to go and bring in the kiosk from the middle of the parking lot because, the police said you can't leave that out there. So I feel bad for it to an extent. It was a cool concept, just shittily executed and cost too much, way too much.
Yeah, well, what are you going to do? Yeah, you thought I was going to say something funny. Well, fuck all y'all. But let's follow this with a little more of good news. You notice I never mean that when I say that. GameStop to close 200 plus stores out of their 100 million bajillion stores, there are more GameStops than there are lines on the road in the United States of America. But they're going to close 200 of them, and this puzzles me. This puzzles me because and Razorfist's going to have to help me out because he can help me explain. He can explain all sorts of things to me, like he did earlier about people who somehow make a career out of cosplaying. But that's something else. Just a little while ago on this very same program, just a year or so earlier, GameStop talked about closing 150 plus stores. And then from what I understand, that those stores received a stay of execution. And now we need to close 200. And what I've heard as much as 221 stores, even though they still have, like I said, like 1,000 stores or more, which is insane to me. Yeah. But Razorfist, what have you heard about the subject?
All I know is it couldn't have happened to a nicer company. No, my favorite steaming nugget in this Eiffel Tower is where they actively blamed brick and mortar retail locations for their recent fiscal failures. Brick and mortar, that's your problem. Look, way to crack the case, Columbo. There's your culprit. Too many stores for us to buy shit in. Like
I wanted the Murder, She Wrote theme song to start playing for some reason.
I know. we don't have the rights to the Murder, She Wrote theme.
Yeah. Angela Lansbury should be hanging out. Paul McCartney wanders by. We lose track of which is which. Anyway. The best part of this is they're saying, oh, fuck, having too many stores is bad. The best part is, there's some mom and pop pissant operating out of a 5x5 asbestos cubicle somewhere, blowing Bolivian trapeze artists to pay the light bill. And they have to live in a world where GameStop, which is like a $1 corporation, a multinational conglomerate, thinks their 9.5 billion fully staffed locations are the fucking problem. That's why they're eating shit.
Well, the shit that I wish that if they really wanted to, like, oh man, shit's real. I wish they would have just said 1/4 of GameStop stores are gonna close down. Well, shit. Because look, for them to blame brick and mortar stores, I find that interesting because one of the stores that they brought up specifically was Best Buy.
Yep.
Now, I'll get something out of the way. I've been to plenty of Best Buys. Every so often, they'll actually have good deals on shit, so they will receive my money in exchange for the products and goods that they have on store shelves. Shocking concept. But they allow me to at least price match, something GameStop should be doing. And it's fucking dumb that they don't, because that's your entire business model is games. Well, you shouldn't let anybody undercut you at your own game. Ha ha ha.
Uh-huh.
Yet that's happening. Plus, they got Gamers Club Unlocked, which is just like Amazon Prime. That's 20% off all new games.
Yep.
And if some shit is on sale, say a $60 game, like, I don't know, the new Mass Effect suddenly just goes out there on sale for $40, then it's additional 20% off of it. And when you get home, then it's just 100% just regret.
Yeah, and that's not even counting all the paper they throw. I mean, if you wink at a fucking GameStop, you get 5 free copies of Game Informer.
Yeah.
That's money out the door every fucking day. And they're printing that fucking propaganda pamphlet.
Dude, them blaming like brick and mortar stores doesn't make any sense. Like, I've got friends who run game stores who do have a lot of trouble keeping the fucking lights on and shit. And they do struggle going up against the competition because people come in, well, GameStop, blah, 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 blah. So it's kind of preposterous and ridiculous to think that they're going to try to throw anybody under the bus other than their own, and like their own people who don't know how to run shit, who are top brass. Those are the reasons why you're having trouble, not anything else. It's not for lack of games.
I think that's part of it, but okay. Hang with me for a beat. I'm going to suggest a notion so radical it may well peel the flesh from your bones. What if, just if, the fact that you can't sell a fish cart to a starving feline, maybe, just possibly, has something to do with how dog shit modern games are. Like, maybe when the only video game related object worth buying in your store is the $400 plastic brick you never fucking play them on, it might explain why the only things you've sold in the last year are t-shirts and tumbleweeds. Like, that's kind of what's going on here. Everyone's buying the consoles, no one's buying the games. Fucking, how much money did they spend on Dishonored 2? They sold like 4.5 copies to Harvey Smith's immediate family. You know, how many AAA games has this been the story with the last several years? Call of Duty is having problems selling right now.
Well, let's not even take into account just the walloping, and everyone's, everyone knows it, no one's saying it, the walloping they're getting from Amazon. Amazon can have this shit to you. If you want this shit at 3 o'clock in the morning, you say, God damn, I want X, whatever, and this shit will be at your fucking door at 9:45 a.m.
Yeah.
I've been into GameStop recently, and GameStop looks a lot like a fucking tobacco shop. All the ones in my neighborhood I go in, I'm surprised there's not fucking bongs and katanas on the walls. There is everything but video games in this fucking bitch.
Dude, the bongs and katanas are in the back room at GameStop.
Okay, so that was something that I had exactly on my mind. When Razorfist mentioned the tumbleweed going by, I was like, oh, that must have been provided by ThinkGeek, because they're taking up half their fucking stores. Let's understand something, that most GameStops that you go into are already kind of small. Yeah. Now, they are taking up precious space in their stores and telling their employees, well, you got to throw out these game cases for your DS games, your Wii games, now your 360 and PS3 games. Yes, that's happening right now, so, batten down the fucking hatches on that shit. Yeah. But they're doing that because they need to conserve space, and they need to fill it up with clearance bins of stuff that they couldn't sell through the ThinkGeek shit. And then don't even get me started on them trying to sell me a fucking mobile data plan for a fucking phone.
Well, let's not talk about the fact that they have so many pop figures in the store. They basically have built the fucking store out of pop fig. They literally just lay fucking concrete and cement in between them. They literally pile them up like blocks. You actually forget that you're not staring at a normal brick wall. Fucking pop figures as far as the eye can see everywhere. That's half the goddamn store. They fill their store with so much ancillary bullshit no one fucking needs. It just doesn't make any sense. And then they wonder why they're not profitable. But the thing is, if you're going to blame something, why the fuck? You tried to roll out your goddamn online retailer. That's the fucking suggestion that I resent. Our brick and mortar locations are eating shit. Really? Then what is your website eating? Like what? Lower than shit? Like whale shit? Hammered whale shit? What the fuck? I don't understand.
And
they tried to roll out that video game service. I forget what the fuck it was called. I literally don't know a single carbon-based life form who is invested in whatever the fuck that is.
The thing that confuses me, I'm like, so why haven't they jumped on very common sense things that other game stores, and I'm talking mom and pop type game stores, have done? To begin with, if you want to fill up half your store with non-gaming related shit, like actual video games and consoles, why don't you put some fucking arcade machines in that bitch? Like, just something, anything. Why don't you hold tournaments at the fucking store? Actually make it like a semi-social environment. Please, for the love of God, remove all the carpet in the fucking stores because it stinks. That's a different fucking topic. But the idea that these very basic concepts and ideas that a place like Amazon cannot do, and a place like Best Buy doesn't do, you should be doing, because that's your centralized focus, is video games. So get heavily invested in it. If you were able to go and get sponsored tournaments and have big companies come out so you can have fighting game tournaments going on at your stores, that's a bunch of foot traffic of people who are potentially going to buy up your shit, and if anything, you're going to make money through the fucking sponsored companies. Well, just because you have the location and you ink the deal. It's just basic fucking things like that. When you have a physical location, do something with it. Instead, it's just a wall of statues, pop figures over here, a bunch of iPhones and Android phones over there, and then you got this fucking cabinet that's this big, filled with 3DS games that you threw out the cases for, and DS cases gone. Just makes no fucking sense.
Sorry, Terengel is watching the stream, and he just shot me a text. He just said, the service is called Congregate with a K. That's what they tried to roll out, and fucking nobody's used the goddamn thing.
Okay, what was Congregate?
Exactly. What? Yes, I've never heard of that.
Online video game streaming service, I believe. It was like a wannabe PS Now, which we know that's fucking setting the world on fire.
Yeah.
It was basically that.
Wait,
what a fucking joke. But here's I think the core malady. When you get right down to it, their primary revenue stream is what? Used games. Yeah. They are, at the end of the day, a fucking thrift store. Are they not? But they're a shitty thrift store. Because their catalog only goes back to, fucking 2010.
Yeah.
Who the fuck is going to think about going into like a Bookman's or a Goodwill or something, and everything is no older than 2010? How dog shit of a thrift store would that fucking be?
Point of order. That's what they call GameStops in California. That's also what they call Goodwills in California.
Dude, okay, so despite the fact that GameStop essentially is like a pawn shop that doesn't know what the fuck it's doing, is they have large stores, like actual large stores, that they could fit a lot of shit inside of, yet all of their retro games, and when I say retro, I mean anything that is older than PS3, 360, and Wii, which they are in the midst of eventually phasing out, and then they'll realize, oh, people want to buy this shit, we better go get it back again. Geniuses. But they don't keep this stuff in stock. They have an online website where you can go and find it. Why the fuck don't you have a physical store? You'll take them in on trade now in a store, but you won't sell them in a store in a retro gaming market where motherfuckers are exchanging internal organs to go and get old NES games. How fucking retarded are you?
I've said this. It's something we actually haven't talked about, but we've talked about how fucking artificially, Everestian fucking high retro gaming prices have climbed to. How ridiculous and cartoonish and completely unreasonable they've gotten, for games that aren't even rare. Breath of Fire had, a huge print run, or Breath of Fire 3 had a huge print run. People are selling it for fucking $90 and $100 now. It's absurd. Hundreds of dollars on some of these goddamn games. And one of the reasons why is that GameStop stopped selling those games. When I got my copy of Breath of Fire 3, it was $1.50 at GameStop used. All right? That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. GameStop used to have all that money, and they've basically just handed it over to a bunch of fucking resellers on eBay.
Okay, we had talked about how where did they make their money? Used games. You know where all the used games are? In old games, because they're no longer printing new ones. Yeah. So you have a mountain, a fucking gargantuan mountain that you're ignoring. Like, there's people that still want to play these games. There's kids, fucking kids, who want to know what's the big deal about the Super Nintendo that my dad grew up with. Well, I want to go and try that shit. So they'll drag their parents off, and then it becomes a big thing in nostalgia, but they can't get it at the store. So they have to go and resort to online. But online, you don't always see what they have available online, because they might only have a couple copies, but it'll say, oh no, sold out or unavailable. Meanwhile, there are copies there. This is a fucking fact. I know motherfuckers who've worked at these warehouses and shit. Unless they have an insane plentiful stock, that shit just comes up grayed out. Yet, if you went to a store, if they had one fucking copy, that was at least one fucking sale. But they don't. Around here, we've got a chain called The Exchange. They sell fucking everything. Music, games, movies, everything. Those motherfuckers are right across the street from GameStop. And they are murdering it there. Yeah. That's why they keep on opening up locations. You know what GameStop's doing? Closing down 1/4 of theirs.
That sounds like a one-sided fucking banjo duel. Jesus.
It's just weird to think. It's like there's no fucking reason at all that we should be discussing this stuff and knowing that it works because, you know, we are consumers, we are gamers, we know what the fuck we want, yet they're in charge and they can't figure this shit out. I mean, you have to be listening to somebody and you're still not getting a fucking memo? I don't get it.
Well, not only that, and also I want you to know that for some reason when you brought up that people who grew up with the Super Nintendo are parents now, that made me sad/depressed for the future. I just wanted to say that. But
it means the kid who flipped out when you hogged the controller on Star Fox just procreated.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that kid. Yeah. I don't even want to do this show anymore. I think I should go. But anyway, but these are actions coming from the same company that, and Alpha, you know about this. You've talked about this on your very channel, on your own channel, about them throwing games in the trash. They don't have room, so we're going to throw perfectly good media in the trash and then spend God knows how much money putting together a program to buy that shit back.
I can say firsthand, 100%, no fucking joke, I have gotten 2 functioning Xbox 360s from their dumpster in a single day. Just chilling there with the wires, everything. So, and they were in minty condition. I don't know why they were there, but I went and I took them up to a local game store, tested them out, everything worked fine on it, hooked up to Kinect, haha, and that worked. Controllers worked, everything was fine. Yeah, I got $100 credit for 2 Xbox 360s for just looking behind a store and just going, oh, put it in my car and left. Why the fuck not? Oh, and not including like the big stack of strategy guides that was chilling there. And
oh yeah,
I gave,
they throw out strategy guides like a motherfucker.
Yeah,
if they're 15 minutes old, they're gone. They'll penny them out.
What's weird is they'll penny them out and then not put them out in the store. If you put something in a store for a fucking penny instead of throwing it in trash, like mark it down to $1. People will buy things for $1 that they don't need based purely off the principle that it was $1. That's why dollar stores exist.
That's how dollar stores thrive.
Yeah, but instead, what they do is
the problem. I get why they don't do that though. I will say this one word in defense of GameStop, because if they start putting the fucking old strategy guides out for a penny after they get to a certain point, people will never buy them for full price again. They'll just be like, oh shit, I'll wait like a fucking month and a half and I'll buy that shit for a penny when it you know what I mean?
But that's what got them into this mess in the first place with software.
Yeah. That would have
all you gotta do is just 1 year's time, that game of the year shit comes around and suddenly you get it for a lot cheaper than other people did.
See, that's the waiting on the strategy guides, that shit would have worked maybe like 15 years ago. Nowadays, the only time that you see strategy guides is hardcover ones with like lithographs inside of them and cloth maps and like all sorts of really cool looking shit, and it's like a $35 art book plus a bunch of other shit. So most people jump all over those because they make limited quantities of them. If they penny those bitches out, oh yeah, somebody's having a good fucking day.
And they're turning around and selling it for $200 on fucking eBay.
Oh yeah, I mean it's inevitable. They'll post it along with 2 Nintendo Switch consoles. It's how it is. But it's just them closing down the stores. I will say this: I do not ever think that I will applaud stores closing down, because the reality is I've been at 2 different companies where shit closed down, and it sucked watching so many people lose a job. And that shit does suck. Seeing that shit happen, it's just like that. I don't know. It's kind of like you see it happen, you're like, it's a shitty company, but I hate seeing people go and lose a job, let alone now there's less things to go and do.
So it's like watching TNA then.
Yeah, but TNA is like dragging it out. GameStop's at least like they're going all in. And we don't have Jeff Jarrett around, so that's good. That's
well, you know, and with also the GameStop people, they don't realize how good they have it, because there's a company called Radio Shack. I don't know if you heard about these people, but they used to sell stuff, and mostly hardware, and then it turned out that was expensive. And then they tried to sell a different kind of hardware, and then cheap Chinese hardware, and then people stopped shopping there, and now people only go there for batteries because they know they're going to get hassled about buying a cell phone if they don't go. But Radio Shack, the fine people at Radio Shack Incorporated, suffering a similar fate, actually, with that of GameStop, are in the midst of closing stores, even though years ago closed other stores. And I feel bad for Radio Shack, and this is not going to mean anything to any of you fucking people unless you're old like me and can remember playing games on the Tandy 1000, but that's 100,000 years ago. Radio Shack was in bankruptcy. They were in bankruptcy, and then just a few months ago emerged from bankruptcy, a feat that everyone said, all the financial analysts who claim to fucking know everything said they would never, ever emerge from bankruptcy. And they did emerge from bankruptcy, reactivated the Tandy brand, and things were looking up, and then 39 fucking days later, they declared bankruptcy again. Why? Because they sell fucking batteries.
It wouldn't have anything to do with the fact that their receipts are like the length of one of the Dead Sea Scrolls. They probably lose half their fucking budget just printing a single goddamn receipt. You could wallpaper your house with 2.5 Radio Shack receipts. I swear to fucking God.
I have to say, good fucking job, the Dead Sea Scrolls. That's a proper fucking reference. Goddamn. Like, I actually feel good. I feel good.
I think you're too about Razor Fist's idea of wallpaper.
Dude, so no shit. I had some friends down for a week. They came from Arizona. They stayed. I took them out to a Radio Shack because it was beside GameStop. Oh shit. Things are starting to make sense. Fuck. Oh my God. So we're out there, and it's the exchange across the street, which is thriving. The games, this shit's killing me. The more I talk about it, the more it's like, oh my God, revelations. Oh, so we go in. I see like stores.
Did you have some peyote before the program or something?
Dude, okay, Radio Shack's closing. We go inside, and I'm like, I wonder what they have. Well, they had a lot of batteries. The front of the store, right? Like you go in, and it's all Sprint stuff, and it's all the shit you'd want to buy, but none of it's marked down because it's owned by Sprint. So you go in, and it's like the bluest balls that you've ever fucking seen. It's amazing. They're basically pearlescent at this fucking point as you go and waddle your ass through. And I look around, and there is not a single solitary fucking thing I would ever think I wanted in sections that said 90% off. And I went, eh.
Oh, dude. No, fun fact. I'm speaking on a microphone that I got from Radio Shack closing down. I got it for like a third of what it costs.
Dude, if you hit up those...
The Hate Bit podcast is powered by economic uncertainty.
Yes!
The powers that be crumble, and we thrive.
Your looming depression, my gain.
Dude, they just... Looking around, I just couldn't find a single thing I wanted, and I'm a tech junkie. There's plenty of things that I could potentially need, but I'm talking all that was in there was scraps. Scraps of things that were so unnecessary to me. I mean, there was a stack of, like, just basic house phones, for example. So if you have, like, your own dial-up phone in a house, that would have been kind of cool, but I don't. So they just gathered dust. And just everything in there. Seeing the dude working was fucking depressing. I felt like I should have bought him a beer because that motherfucker was dead, just dead. It's fucking tragic. But Radio Shack, they doomed themselves. They didn't adapt. It's the truth of the matter.
They didn't adapt, and they made the mistake a lot of dying companies make. They started letting their employees work on commission, which unfortunately incentivizes them milking every fucking 80-year-old woman who saunters through the door to get batteries. You know, are you sure you don't want a fucking Sprint contract? She goes to get fucking batteries and comes back, you know, with a 5-year fucking $3,000 phone contract. And then they wonder why she doesn't want to come back.
So Nana went to Radio Shack to get a battery for her phone in the house, and she came back with 3 drones.
Back with
so
mortgage.
So Nano, what are you doing tonight? Bingo's gonna be exciting this evening. I bet. So it's fucking Radio Shack. I'm the only thing that they've done as of late that I thought was cool is that fucking Super Bowl commercial that I liked. That's about it. And that was a while
I mean,
ago.
you know, they were great, you know, for a long time. I mean, they did some stuff. They were pretty goddamn useful until everyone started carrying a 2032 CR battery. And now that everybody carries button cells, fuck Radio Shack, you know.
Look, they were a good company until the likes of Newegg and Amazon came along, and now I can reach into my pocket and have all that shit ordered to my house.
I never really got the Radio. I never really got the Radio Shack thing. I remember when I was a kid, you know, our house was like right across from like a Radio Shack. I might have walked in twice. It was kind of that store that it was the store you also sometimes walk into at the mall. Sometimes. Okay,
well, I came from a poor town where Radio Shack at one point was like the highlight. We're getting a Radio Shack, and I went to Radio Shack, and I looked in the Radio Shack, and I heard there was computers in there, and so for like the first year they were just like they were having a clearance sale.
Yeah,
and this is like 1994, right? And they're having a clearance sale on old IBM PC games. So I cleaned up. But I start looking at like most of the store at this time was dedicated to ham radio operations.
Yeah.
I didn't really and I looked over there and there was a book, a big book on how to operate a ham radio. Now, I'm going to save you all like $39. Okay, what you do is you take the ham radio, you push the button, you say some shit, you follow that with over and then they say something else. I just saved you $39 fucking dollars because there was a big book on how to do that. And you wonder why these motherfuckers went into bankruptcy, out of bankruptcy, and then right back because they wanted $39 on how to operate a ham radio. That's why.
I'm just kind of bummed out that they got out of the video game business ages ago because them going into multiple bankruptcies, I'd be fucking killing it on games. I'd walk into that bitch with stacks.
Oh, yeah. No, for a time, people don't remember that. I guess I'm old enough to remember that when Radio Shack was like the Harbor Freight of PC games. Just cheap Chinese shit that nobody wants for like a nickel.
Yeah, them and CompUSA. I miss those motherfuckers too.
You miss CompUSA? My God.
The fuck out of CompUSA. That was where
you think GameStop smelled fucking CompUSA.
That was where I got all my late 90s PC. You know, that's where I got Thief the Dark Project. That's where I got my Deus Ex copy. I had to wade through the noxious hordes of fucking Coke bottle glasses employees. I had to fucking slice through the fucking cloud of BO. Grab my copy of Asheron's Call Dark Majesty. God damn it.
Let's make something perfectly clear. There's nothing that can cut through that smell. You climb over it.
Yeah.
So you climb over it, you ride it like the fucking wave that it is, and you just hope to fucking God you get to those doors.
Yeah.
And you know, my CompUSA experience was, since we're talking about that, was going with my friends who actually had money and had computers to watch them buy shit so I could be excited about staying the night. So that was me. And I think I got my first computer from fucking Finger Hut. So poor.
One last story before we move on. I had a friend who used to, you know how CompUSA, for some reason, they used to have a fucking trough filled with American Online trial CDs. American Online. It's been so long since I've used that service. I forgot what they were called. AOL trial CDs, right? And one night, my friends get faced, and they have a van. And they decide to walk into CompUSA and just grab an armload out of the trough of the fucking CDs. And then they proceed to drive by pedestrians and people on fucking bikes by whirling AOL trial CDs at them from a fucking moving van all night till like 3 a.m.
What do you want to bet? There was like there was a spike in temporary AOL users in that particular region. Like, oh, god damn, this is aggressive marketing. Take what's this going on? Put it in 386.
I want to point out that this is how white people did drive-by shootings in the 90s.
That's true.
So that's not that bad. Honestly, that's
well, I mean, bullets were expensive. AOL fucking discs were.
Yeah, dude,
you could. Oh man.
What fucked me up about it was the things were free. Like if you went to a grocery store when you were at checkout, you know where they got like all the extra shit? Well, they had those discs there. Magazines, they had them. I remember going to fucking thrift stores. I wish I knew who was working in the back, but they would take the AOL discs and actually price them. I'm like, no, nobody's paying for these fucking things. I'm not giving you 95 cents for a fucking AOL disc. Like, what the fuck are you going on?
That had to be the most expensive coaster ever.
It pretty much was. They had so many of them, but the idea of pelting people with them, that sounds fantastic. It gets way more use than they would now, and apparently there's people who collect those things. No shit.
You're bullshitting me. Who collects those things?
I'm not fucking dude. You can look that shit up. There's motherfuckers collecting AOL discs. I'm dead fucking serious. This shit's real. If it exists, a motherfucker will collect it. But the idea of these are just like, well, this one's pretty mint because it was never opened at all. It still has the original cellophane on it. Like, what? What? Are we this far down the ladder that we need to go and do this shit?
I think we definitely are. Definitely. So, goodbye, CompUSA and Radio Shack and GameStop. You had a chance to get out while you could. You didn't. Fuck off. Now, without further ado, we're going to get to the next portion of the program. Alpha Omegason's going to tell you a story about Paige and Xavier and Brad Maddox.
I was going to say, speaking of going in and out of bankruptcy and going down the ladder.
All right, children, gather around as Alpha Omegason tells you a sordid tale of love, lust, and too many cameramen. So, Paige is a wrestler, or was, for WWE.
Define wrestler. Hold on. In Paige's case,
you know what
the fuck? Wrestler? Come on.
She could actually wrestle. She could actually wrestle, which was amazing that she didn't just go like top heavy all the time with the amount of makeup that she caked on. But despite that, it's still pretty fucking cool. She go out there and do her thing. Her mom, admittedly, is a better wrestler. Just saying. Now, Paige apparently had her phone hacked, and like everything's on the cloud. Well, what was on the cloud was every WWE fan's like Google searches suddenly just came to life, except for with lots of extras, because it was Paige banging one mystery guy, Brad Maddox, Xavier Woods. Shout out to Up, Up, Down, Down, which now has an all-new meaning when talking about Paige. Oh, the easy jokes we can make that have been made tons of times. They're everywhere. They're right here for you. So this shit blows the fuck up. No shit. The hashtag Paige was running wild. So many people had videos of her taking a load on the face, fucking herself in the ass with a vibrator, which was a video I think she sent to Alberto Del Rio. I would love to see the videos that they're sending each other now, because they probably look like boxing matches. And seeing her, let's see, she fucked Brad Maddox while dressed up in some kind of like little skanky outfit, which was funny to watch. But then after that, Brad Maddox is butt-ass naked on the ground, okay? He looks like Terminator when he first shows up in the world, and he's holding a camera up National Geographic style while Paige fucks Xavier Woods. But somebody took a picture of them doing this. So that means that there was a third man on the grassy knoll that we do not know of. And This shit just, it was everywhere. Titty shots, like everything. I mean, when there's a video of you getting proper nut all over your fucking face.
And the women's title.
Dude, there's a movie being made about her and her family right now. I hope that there's a director's cut. I hope that there's a director's cut. I need there to be a director's cut just to include all this. But this shit went everywhere. Brad Maddox, who's no longer with the company at all, but him and Xavier Woods became the unified tag team champions of the world, whether they knew it or not.
Yeah, they had an intergender, interracial tag team match.
Brad Maddox his Twitter deleted, fucking gone. Paige just came out and said my shit was stolen, and Xavier Woods hasn't said a single fucking thing at all. I feel bad for them to an extent, but at the same point I'm like, why did you keep that shit on there? Especially if you're already with a dude, why were you keeping that shit around? It made no fucking sense, and especially when you're a high-profile person, and now all the other divas or women's wrestlers, whatever the fuck they're calling themselves, were put on point. Apparently Alexa Bliss is going to get hacked. That I'd like to see. Just saying. Shit went down. So, there you go. There's the story.
Fuck a Page documentary. Now I want to see an Alberto Del Rio documentary. They can just call it, "But you already hit that." That's what it should be. I would fucking market the shit out of that. I'd put it in every fucking theater in America. This poor.
Do you realize that's the only way that Alberto Del Rio would actually draw money?
Oh my
god. It sure isn't his charisma. But dude,
no, it sure is.
It turned into such a fucking
He has all the
mess.
charisma of a Taco Bell commercial.
Okay, Tara Gell is telling me this. I don't know if this is a rumor or factual, but he says that Xavier Woods did react to it, but deleted the tweet.
Dude, I did not see that. I'm kind of curious now.
And apparently the tweet said, in my defense, it was cold that night. Anyway, so continuing on.
The thing that's tripping me up is not so much that a 23, 24-year-old girl would keep that stuff on her phone, which means she's watching it herself. The only reason you would have something like that close at hand is means she's watching it herself. But the more frightening thing was, and mostly because Alpha Omega Sid and I were having a discussion of why it took so long to get Rick Rude into the WWF Hall of Fame. And then I thought, what if these fucking things, these smartphones, were available in the 1980s to professional wrestlers?
Sid Vicious came out and said something to that effect. He was like, dude, this is the exact same shit we did to the female wrestlers back in the day. We just didn't have a fucking smartphone to record that shit.
Yeah, because the fucking camera to shoot that shit was this fucking big.
I mean, yeah, his exact words were, trust me, folks, we all had a lot of sunny days. That was Sid this week.
Dude,
the wrestling business had lots of sunny days.
There was a lot of things that, I actually had, legitimately serious discussions about it because I said, look, these motherfuckers are on the road damn near all the time, constantly. Well, you're gonna fuck somebody. And you're gonna fuck some buddies. It just happens. You know,
it might as well be somebody you see on a regular basis.
Yeah, it happened. But at the same point, people are like, "Oh man, she's gonna get fired." I think WWE might be too scared to fire her because
I don't see how you do anything but fire her with the fucking belt being involved. I can understand if it had just been the other stuff, which for the record, I haven't even seen any of this shit. I just had it described to me pretty much. But the belt being involved in the way that it was, I'm sorry. At that point, what do you have to do? Take a shit on it? At a certain point, you literally have to say, what can you do? Because people, let me establish this one simple fact. People have been fired and completely disassociated from the company forever for considerably fucking less.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Hulk Hogan.
I don't know. Nobody lost their job over David Arquette having a belt, so, there are worse things have happened.
Yeah, they refused to ever speak to Vince Russo ever because he said some mean shit about him in interviews. That literally. Fucking Hulk Hogan. They will never mention him again, at least well, actually they're about to. I feel like they're heading back toward mentioning him again. But for quite some time there, he was persona non grata. You could not mention Hulk Hogan's name because he said something on a fucking sex tape that he didn't know he was being recorded on, that was released against his will, and that he had a court case over and was resoundingly legally vindicated in, and made the WWE look like a bunch of cloying assholes in the process for disassociating from him. So I just don't fucking understand it. You're gonna do that to Hulk Hogan for something he didn't even record willingly. But Paige is literally, I mean, she's all but holding the fucking camera. And we're not going to fire her, and the belt is involved.
Oh, also, don't forget, now, we also have an issue of black people involved and sex being involved, and I know a few people, and you know a few people from the internet who are on fucking starting blocks who can't wait for this to explode. You know who I'm talking about. I'm not going to name names.
What?
Well, that big-nosed bitch that's always getting everybody's business.
The thing is with her right now, she was already on thin ice because her entire situation is so fucking confusing to me because she was in trouble multiple different times now. And we're not talking about just like, oh, a slap on the wrist type thing, talking like you're probably going to get fired type shit.
Yeah.
WWE apparently has a thing against firing people who are currently still on the actively injured list, which she is right now. But then she has a movie being made about her family that's a WWE film, and then all this shit happens. Xavier Woods is like one of the top guys in the company, and
which is sad.
It's when you see all this shit, like Brad Maddox isn't a part of it, and like I said, there's like the third party people who aren't we still don't know who the fuck they are, and they sure as fuck aren't going to come out and be like, oh, it was me, Austin. So that's not going to happen. But it turned into such a shit show so fucking quickly, and I had seen people were just like, yeah, I'm going to be dropping these other ones in like 10 hours, up this one in another hour. It would just kept going and going and going. Like, they got an entire treasure trove of this shit, and you have to wonder, what would you guys do if you were running the company?
Well, here's my fucking thought. What are you saying? Okay, the bitch can't wrestle. She never could. The bitch can't cut a promo. She never could. You're clearly just selling her body, right? That's pretty much WWE. That's why they hired her. That's why they pushed her. You were selling her body. And it's like a PG-13 type thing where it's a tease. Oh, she's hot, but we're never going to see it, right? Yeah. Well, not so much anymore, folks. Not so much. So let me ask you, what value does a PG-13 star whose tits you were never supposed to see have after you've seen her take a load to the face?
I think it's very similar to what's going on with Kim Kardashian. She showed everyone her ass, and now they've seen it, and now they won't watch her show anymore.
I mean, I don't see how they could even, like, let's say that.
Let's not pretend she had I'll be honest. Let's not pretend she had any lasting value at this point.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying here. I don't understand what they're holding on to. Wellness violations. She's dating Del Rio, who has a massive coke habit and is probably half the fucking problem here. You know, and she basically just threw her entire career away for a dude who is married.
Either that or she wants to be in porn. She sees that as a better opportunity to draw money. Because wrestling's not doing it.
I don't know. In 2017, probably not so much on that case either.
Well, that's no one said she was smart.
I'm just saying, I don't see the value. I don't see what you're holding on to here.
I don't either. At this point in time, the only thing I can think of is they just don't want to go and let her go with how they'll be perceived by everybody else. But you couldn't honestly put her back out there with how many people knew about this. And apparently, like, all the shit going on behind the scenes is they're waiting for everything to blow over to then figure out what to do.
It does kind of feel that way. It feels like they just were caught flat-footed and have no fucking idea. Because look, okay, China died in a situation where they would never speak about her again, and she filmed a porno. And mind you, before that, they wouldn't speak about, before she even signed with Vivid and did her actual professional porno movies, there were some sex tapes leaked, and it came out later that Sean Waltman basically did all that himself, X-Pac. The guy whose treatment they've paid for like 19 times and who's still a fucking smackhead. And, you know, Triple H's buddy. They wouldn't talk about China ever again over that. And they're going to keep fucking Paige around? What? Yeah. What the fuck?
That's why I don't get the whole situation, because I'm like, okay, what else is actually going on behind the scenes? Because even before all the leaks, well before all that, she had done so much shit in spite of the company. And people had said, well, she's young. That's not a fucking excuse. You're an adult. You're an adult in an industry that you are technically a professional in, that your family is like a professionals in. This is something that's kind of like a legacy in a lot of ways, and you made it to the mountaintop. You literally became one of the youngest champions in the entire company's history, and you were pushed as a main eventer, and then you do all this shit. Like, I don't understand all of it, and there's a certain amount of like responsibility that you eventually have to take instead of just feeling bad. Like, I can't feel bad after a while. Do I feel bad that her shit got leaked? Yeah, I mean, that sucks. It does, because that's mentally and emotionally traumatizing stuff. All lighthearted jokes aside, it does fuck with a person, but she's an idiot for even recording it. She's an idiot for keeping it. And when it went out there, I mean, that happens. I don't even know what else to really
I don't even know. She did say her shit was hacked, but she also said it was pictures. I have a feeling the you know, based on how people have described it to me, it sounds like it may have been Maddox's shit that he kept around, that it was just stored in the iCloud or something. I mean, this is all speculation, but
what was his stuff hacked?
Yeah, it sounds like it. Like, I was
gonna say, because nobody mentioned it. All I heard was they were going after like the actual like female wrestlers, and then that was it.
Yeah.
And the Brad Maddox stuff, like, there would have been more that was showing of him. And I mean, there was videos of her, like, you know, doing stuff completely separate that didn't include him. So that's why I'm just like, well, what the fuck happened? Like, a lot of it's just a big ass mystery. Yeah. Now their family wants to take, like, they want to take the people who leaked the stuff to court, but nobody knows who did it. So it is a fucking train wreck. And I've never seen it get this bad with any wrestler out there. I've seen titty pics and stuff like that, and you know,
yeah, and that's the part of this that nobody talks about. It was more than just her. It wasn't like Victoria was wrapped up in all this. They got Victoria stuff and fucking who's the big meaty bitch? Caitlyn and Melina, and like Paige wasn't alone in all this. I guess they hacked all their shit.
See, I didn't like. I know that they said that there's other ones that it's going to happen to, but I never got to see anything else. I just saw, oh yeah, happened to Paige.
Yeah, I just heard from, like, you know, on like a TMZ article or something.
Yeah,
but that's some fucking bullshit.
But it's seeing how WWE ends up handling this will be interesting. One of the things that was brought up was like Xavier Woods. What are they going to do with him? And I can't imagine that they would end up like going and fucking him over, because the dude is, like I said, a top guy, and his merch sales are fucking ridiculous, and they always give him and the rest of New Day tons of airtime. To take it away because of this kind of stuff,
I bet you they'll penalize him a little bit, though.
I can see him getting,
yeah, the same way they penalized Triple H. They took away his money for half an hour.
Yeah, for half a fucking minute, and then he was IC champion before the fucking ink dried.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes, but it is definitely probably one of the more fucked up things that's actually happened behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, it hurts the company at a crucial time, and it also, you know, you're right around WrestleMania season. That's probably why this happened, by the way, is because it's WrestleMania season, so more eyes are going to be on WWE, which is to say, any eyes at all were going to be on WWE. Fucking the way their business is going right now. But I mean, here's the only thing I can think of. The only thing that makes sense for why she's still with the company at present after all that shit is what you didn't mention is the WWE film they're doing about Paige is produced and directed by The Rock. So if he goes to bat for her, they don't want to piss off The Rock.
Yeah.
Because he's an actual known commodity outside of wrestling. And if they piss him off enough and he refuses to ever show up again, there's another big attraction that they can never bring back again.
Well, with The Rock, they recently they had the one thing where The Rock came out and he was they were doing an actual recording. Like they had the actress who was portraying Paige. She was going to come down to the ring, so they were going to do like all the shit with the Titantron, da 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 da. Well, The Rock came out, and before the show started, he live mentioned CM Punk, and even called CM Punk on the phone. The same CM Punk that is currently in the middle of a legal battle with WWE, and they've actually gone out of their way to, delete him out of shit. Just as like, a smack to the face. And they've been doing similar shit with AJ Lee, his wife, just because, the whole guilty by association type deal. And it's just, it's so much fucking petty shit going on. But The Rock did that. And I was like, holy fuck. He literally gives no fucks.
He's bulletproof. The motherfucker is bulletproof. He knows it.
I mean, he's currently the highest paid actor in Hollywood. What are you going to do to him? And WWE has always been all about trying to impress Hollywood. They never do, but they've been all about trying. And The Rock is about the closest thing that they can get to that. And, like you said, they don't want to piss off that guy because that'll be bad for them and bad for business.
They must be under the impression that Hollywood pays a lot of attention to the bargain bin because that's where all their movies end up.
Yeah.
They must be under the impression that the people who make movies watch TV. They don't. But with all that having been said, yeah, big problems for Vince fucking McMahon and that girl that can take something in her ass. Good for her. I'm sure it'll get her lots of bookings in other places. With that having been said, you know what Razorfist was telling me just a little bit? It was amazing, and I was so surprised. No, I wasn't. He told me that Mass Effect Andromeda is awful. Is that true? Is that true?
Have you logged on to Twitter sometime the last millennium?
Well, that's what I was getting at because apparently it's not so good.
Really? Those animations didn't strike you as AAA par? No,
and I heard people are upset with Armor and all sorts of things. But what are your thoughts?
I had just heard this actually. Okay, so the big problem is all the fucking animations are totally fucked up. The voice acting is ridiculous. There's a slap fight at one point in the fucking game where two Krogan, which are the big burly lizard men, they're getting ready to engage in fisticuffs, and all of a sudden an even bigger Krogan comes out of nowhere, and he lays this motherfucker out with a haymaker, and then he says, "Now, Francis, that wasn't very nice. I don't understand why you were doing that. And you big old meanie, why don't you just crawl up in your little corner and go away?" They had fucking Paul Lynde voicing the fucking Krogan in this goddamn game. I don't understand what this shit is going on. It's like it's intentionally bad. It's almost like Deadly Premonition level, where you almost want to be like, wow, this is the best unintentional comedy since The Room. I can't believe this shit. There's been so many times where I'm watching footage of this fucking game and I expect Commander Not Shepherd to turn to the camera and go, "Oh, hi, Mark."
I did not hit her. I did not.
Everybody's betrayed me. I'm fed up with this world.
Dude, my favorite thing so far, a lot of people have probably already seen this, but I don't know the bitch's name, so Alien Bitch goes and pulls out a backwards gun and fires her backwards gun, and I was just like, what are you doing? What are you how do you
so
how are you
delightfully Freudian about a gun that aims back at you in a fucking game where they're shooting
I think it's very telling because she probably did want to kill herself. She was like, I can't be in this shit no more. Damn, it doesn't work.
But I mean, I'm seeing footage of, Commander Not Shepard suddenly just breaks out into a T-pose. And he's still jumping and moving around and sliding and shit. I'm like, what the fuck is good? The only thing stiffer than those animations is Mac Walters while writing the sex scenes. Apparently the sex scenes are just horrible. They're like Skinamax after 1 a.m.
Well,
to make matters worse, after about an inch of fucking digging, it emerged through the miracle of the internet that apparently half the goddamn dev team, most importantly, the lead animator, had about an afternoon of fucking work experience in animation between them. And wonder of wonders, the lead animator just happened to be a banging hot cosplay cuntosaurus. Right? She's got a huge set of double Ds, not so much in the way of credentials. Apparently, like they were going over her LinkedIn resume. And her only previous animation credit was a video called I Hate Men, or Why I Hate Men, or something to that effect. And that was it. She had animated a video. That's her credit. Fuck, if the only credential is cup size, let Dolly Parton do the goddamn animating, as far as I'm concerned. At least she can hum a fucking tune while she bends the franchise of the love seat and pounds it in the pooper, for fuck's sake.
I just don't... Okay, so...
I would just love to see Dolly Parton animate something with her tits.
Probably keeps dropping the fucking things on the keyboard. Shit's happening, right? Yeah.
No, I meant with like pencils,
We can. Yeah, that can work. That can work. It's cold enough in here. So
think about it. You let Dolly Parton make it. It goes from being like, "Oh my God, what an abortion," to like, "Oh God bless her, she tried." Right?
you know what? I would totally be the latter. I'd be like, "You tried. Go on. Look, the Mass Effect series for me was this. Hey, number 1's pretty good, and 2's worse. 3 I don't want to be near. Now this one. Well, look at that. It's like a staircase that eventually is going into, we're not getting a sequel after this. No. Hell.
Staircase my aching ass. It's like one of the Silent Hill elevators at this point. Fuck.
Just like this, like, hey, what's on there? Oh. Just infinite falls forever. It's like the stairs of Mario 64. That shit just keeps going. It keeps going. Just in reverse. You know what? The fact that the series decided that it wanted to be less RPG and more anything else, and everybody's big concern with the game isn't that it's fucking broken. They're upset because, damn it, the options for doing gay shit just aren't up to par. That's who you're pandering to. Well, this isn't gay enough. I don't have enough alien dicks in all orifices. Fuck this game. Yeah, and you're not pissed off about the whopping 3 fucking dialogue options that you're given. That's a single fucking sentence, and each one is essentially the same exact thing. Way to go. That's good stuff right there. That shit just doesn't shock me.
Which is hilarious because it seems like there was a lot more effort put into the sex scenes than anything else in the game. Apparently. This is basically the game is out there, folks. There are people reviewing it now. People have review it's bad when the fucking happy console gamer can't spin it into a positive. Yeah. Like, seriously, this is a bad game.
Johnny's name is the happy console gamer. Johnny's a very fucking positive motherfucker, and even he was just like, this game's the shits. It is the fucking shits. So it's... And the people that I've seen online saying that they were enjoying it, I just assume that they have drinking habits. Like, you've got a really bad drinking problem, and this shit, like, you don't see all the fucked upicity of the game.
I hope, I really do. Look, here's the thing. You knew it was going to be bad, and I said this in a vlog a long time ago, too. Every other fucking comment I've gotten over the last freaking week is on that video where they're like, wow, you fucking called it. And I didn't even really intend to. But they took the guy who wrote the ending for Mass Effect 3, and they promoted him to project lead. That's pretty much all you need to hear, folks. That's cut print. That's all I needed to fucking hear. But that shows you absolutely terrible. But I hope Mac Walters was blown long and hard for hitting this fucking sea hag, because at least someone will have gotten something out of this protracted ass ramming.
it just doesn't make any sense. So we're going to let's go and promote the person that pissed off everybody. That seems like a good idea, and give him way more power. And let's hire somebody who hates a large portion of your demographic based purely off their gender and has absolutely no fucking qualifications other than below her fucking chin and above her fucking belly button to even sit down and work on the fucking thing. Oh wait, is that sexist? No, sexist is hiring the motherfucker based off of those fucking things. Whoa. And by the way, I want to see these sex scenes now and see if they stand up to Ride to Hell, because that right there, well, between that and Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, those love scenes, those are good. I always felt the passion in those, the over the pants thrusting. I like it. It's good stuff. But don't worry, this will eventually end up in the bargain bin, and after a million hours of you downloading patches and updates and installations and shit, you'll eventually be able to play something that made you think, wow, I could have just bought something else, anything else. Mass Effect, yay.
Yeah, you could buy Disney Infinity.
Yeah. I think what's even more annoying than Andromeda being that bad is it gives noxious nerds who are already resentful that it was more popular than their RPG of choice an excuse to mention their RPG of choice, right? Every other let's compare the animation here to The Witcher. Let's compare it to Fallout New Vegas. Let's compare Jesus Christ. People, fucking stop. Can it not just suck in a vacuum? That's the idea of a fucking vacuum. Is it not? Fuck.
Fantastic. So if you didn't know, apparently it sucks.
Yeah. I'm not sure if you've formed that impression.
Yeah. More suckage per square inch than any other video game of its type. So
Than the lead animator.
yeah, and it must be true because it was said right here on the 8-Bit Podcast. Now, it's time to go to the 8-Bit Ball Bag, and this is the favorite part. Everyone loves this part, this segment of the program. We're going to the 8-Bit Ball Bag. Going to get some of that correspondence. And if you have questions, comments, concerns of any kind, please drop us a line at 8bitpodcast@gmail.com. First one coming from Cal Whitehead, and Cal says, so a little while back, I love when people always start that way, with obviously paragraphs missing. He says, so a little while back, Alpha mentioned he was getting a Warhammer starter set. What faction is he going for, and does it involve space Vikings, wolves, and chainsaw swords? Alpha, what's the story?
Nope. Okay, so they have a new series of Warhammer, which is basically for noobs like me, and also I think it's like the smartest way to go because it's cheaper. You just get way more units. But myself and both my best friends have sets. I've got death, lots of death and undead and zombies and shit like that, because some of the bigger figures was the one that I got is the Mortis engine, I think it's called, which sounds like a really cool band name. If it's not, somebody should take it. But yeah, just
sounds like a WCW heel who's going to upstage Glacier.
Well, we already have Mortis, so maybe Mortis could have just changed that into his finishing move.
All right.
But seeing all the stuff, like my friend's been sending me constant pictures of all the stuff that he's been painting, and now they're pulling up tutorials on YouTube because they haven't really painted miniatures basically since they were kids, and they're trying to make this shit look super nice because the figures are all like that big. And it's also hard not to ruin some of these because the pieces are so fucking tiny, and if you don't get that shit on the first shot, it's kind of melted. So you're fucking it up, and it's just going to keep looking worse and worse. Duct tape won't help it at all. But yeah, I think this weekend I'll end up playing my first game of it. I would have last weekend, but there was just far too much going on. But I'm excited about it. Yeah. And I've been able to spend $0 so far, and I'm able to play, which not a lot of Warhammer people can say. And it even made me.
I didn't even know that was legal.
Huh?
I didn't even know that was legal, that you could play Warhammer without spending money.
Completely, it's all Sean. Sean was just like, nope, I'm footing the bill because you're gonna play one way or another. I was like, oh, okay. So he bought a set for his son. He bought a set for him. Bought a set for me. Jared went and picked up a set. So we've got a ton. it's just a matter of getting. Now I have to buy several tables, and we have to make terrain and shit. I'm thinking about like the terrain is expensive as fuck, even more so than figures. It's kind of ridiculous.
There,
But we need to go and
cheap
set all
way
that
to
up.
do that actually is they make card terrain. You can literally just fold like it's really more useful for BattleTech because there's a lot of like urban stuff.
Yeah.
But you can do urban stuff in Warhammer too. So it's like card stock that you just fold into buildings, and you wind up having you can have a whole city skyline, and you just fold it out of it.
There was a site that we had pulled up that had exactly that.
Yeah.
And you can get a lot of it, like a disturbing amount. Like it's fucking crazy the amount that you can get.
Fuck. It's like I don't know, it's 20 to $40 for a whole thing. You're like,
yeah,
it's not that bad.
Like right now, what I want to do was downstairs in the basement. It's like half furnished, so I was thinking about playing down there because there's just so much space. And they have those fold-up tables that you can get from Walmart. They're cheap. You can get them for like $15. Buy several of those, lay them out. I was gonna buy I know that some of the stuff that you can buy is kind of like a tablecloth, just an insanely large tablecloth that looks like terrain, and then use that as just like the ground. And then was going to see how much some of this shit costs to put like trees and mountains and shit. We might get crafty and try to make our own out of like styrofoam and shit to see how good it goes. Just anything, at least for like the time being. Just because if you don't have terrain in Warhammer, you're losing a lot of like the actual tactical battle elements of it, of like, oh, you're up on a hill and they're down this low, or like making your way around shit just because certain characters can move further than others. So you'll want to go and whoop, 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 run away. And there's a lot of shit that goes into it. It's just amazing because like just the other night I was playing Magic the Gathering, now going to play in Warhammer, was playing a couple games on PS4, Wii U, and PS2, like Taiko Drum Master. We're playing the fuck out of that. So I'm literally
what Alpha's struggling to tell us is that his virginity has grown back.
I'm actually growing it back at this point. I can't wait to repop that cherry. That's gonna be good. It won't be taken by fucking terrible Andrea Frick, you bitch. So just oh man, like it's honestly kind of cool because there's people who had no interest in this shit whatsoever, but now want to get it. And now I'm scouring Craigslist and shit, trying to see if anybody's like parting ways with entire collections to try to pick them up for cheap. So we'll see. It'll be neat. We also need to get the booklets for much older sets to figure out how you convert them to all the new shit, because we don't know how to do that. So it'll be fun. Yay!
Fantastic. And the second part of his question, he asked, given the opportunity, would myself and Razorfist, would we partake in some Warhammer? No fucking way, because as I said, you have to take out a goddamn loan against your house in order to pay for it.
It is a pain in the ass, monetarily speaking, but yeah, I'd be down. I like Warhammer, all right. More of a BattleTech or Shadowrun kind of guy, but I like Warhammer just fine.
No, okay.
Man, you just love buying stuff that toddlers can swallow, don't you?
I'm kind of curious, but in BattleTech, so with that, do they have the is that also the one where the placemats and shit, like the actual battlefield is made of like little octagons?
Little hexes, yeah.
Okay, so I was looking at that because the one game store that I went to, I'd seen they had all this shit like way off to the side and people were playing, and I had no idea what it was. And I was looking at it, I'm like, I think that's what it is. I'm not sure, but I didn't bother to walk over because that entire table had motherfuckers surrounding it. So I was like, no, I'm good.
Well, that's the good thing about BattleTech. They have the hexes, which allow you to turn, but they also keep it like movement and shit precise, so you don't have to argue over like. Because look, there's usually rules, like alternate rules for tabletop games, where you can just use distance. You just literally break out the ruler and, you can move 4 inches. But then that's up for debate because he could turn, he could do what, you actually can wind up getting into arguments and shit over that. So with hexes, it actually cuts down on that a little bit. which is good.
See,
This
that
is the
was-
nerdiest discussion we've ever had on this show.
Dude,
I feel like
well-
we've all grown our virginity back.
I should tell my wife about that. She'll be really impressed.
I'm excited about it, though. It'll be
You
something new.
should be. Warhammer is kick ass.
It is, but man, the deeper I go into something like this, the more I know that my bank account's going to suffer, and I can't keep up with gaming.
It's true.
It hurts so much. It hurts.
Well, since you guys are all nerded out, I guess that's it for the 8-Bit Podcast for this week. We thank you guys for joining us. Joining me has been the ever-present Alpha Omega Sin.
Make sure to delete your videos. Just saying.
And the ever-pretty Razor Fist.
Well, remember, folks, watching is fun. God fucking speed.
All right, and with all of that, Razor Fist, don't you forget to delete your videos. And that's it. Thank you very much. Don't forget to check us out on your social media, on your Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that sort of thing. Also, don't forget to drop us a line right here on the Facebook, or on YouTube, rather. And also, you can drop us a line at hatebitpodcast@gmail.com. I want to thank you for joining me, and also for watching the world's most quotable podcast. You know it is right here, 8-Bit Podcast. Thank you much, guys. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.